Have you ever asked yourself why, despite your efforts, money slips through your fingers as if it obeys laws you cannot see? Why some people with no greater talent than you accumulate wealth effortlessly while you struggle, trapped in cycles of scarcity, frustration, and unrealized potential? The question is not about luck. It is not about opportunity appearing at the right time. It is about the mind you carry, the beliefs you have allowed to root themselves in your consciousness, and the mental laws you ignore, even as they silently govern every transaction, every venture, every decision that moves you closer or further from abundance. To make money fast, to command it with authority, you must first understand that wealth is not found outside of you. It is forged inside. It is a conquest of your inner world before it ever manifests in the outer world, and it demands a precision of thought, a clarity of purpose, and an unwavering mastery over the impulses that so often sabotage the very success you seek. Consider the power of definiteness of purpose. The man who drifts through life, content to react, to accept what comes, will never find financial freedom, no matter how skilled, no matter how educated, no matter how clever he may be. Money flows to those who know what they want, who define it in such precise terms that the universe itself seems to bend toward their design. But it is not simply about stating a desire. It is about embedding it so deeply into your subconscious that every thought, every action, every decision becomes a brick in the edifice of your goal. Ambiguity is the enemy. Hesitation is fatal. Your desire must burn with the intensity of a furnace, so hot that every fear, every doubt, every distraction is incinerated before it can interfere. This is the first law of acquiring wealth fast. The mind must be your relentless ally, not a passive observer. Faith is the fuel that transforms desire into reality. It is not a shallow optimism, a fleeting hope, or a prayer whispered in desperation. It is an unwavering certainty that what you intend will manifest because your mind has been conditioned to receive it. Faith operates invisibly, through autosuggestion, through repeated affirmation, through the disciplined repetition of thought that programs your subconscious to act as though your goal is already achieved. The person who hesitates, who doubts, who postpones belief until conditions are perfect will always be at the mercy of circumstance. The person who understands that faith is a skill, a mental discipline to be trained, becomes unstoppable. They see opportunity where others see chaos. They take decisive action while others hesitate, paralyzed by fear. They command wealth because their minds are structured to recognize it, to attract it, and to utilize it without hesitation or regret. Persistence, the unglamorous, often invisible force, is the crucible through which temporary defeat is converted into ultimate triumph. To make money fast is not to stumble upon luck. It is to endure, to advance with relentless consistency, to refuse to allow setbacks to dictate the terms of your life. Every successful person has been tested, has been forced to confront the limits of their own patience, their own courage, their own belief. To abandon effort at the first sign of difficulty is to ensure failure. To persist even when hope is dim, when the path is obstructed, when the body screams and the mind doubts, is to activate a law of success far more powerful than talent or opportunity. The law of the sustained mind. Every repetition, every measured effort, every disciplined action accumulates invisible energy in your favor, drawing the circumstances and resources you need closer until wealth manifests as the inevitable result of your unwavering commitment. Self-discipline is the silent enforcer of all these principles. Desire without discipline is fantasy. Faith without discipline is delusion. Persistence without discipline is chaos. Discipline controls your attention, governs your actions, and aligns your habits with your objectives. It forces you to work when laziness calls, to make decisions when indecision tempts, to master impulse when the mind rebels. The fast accumulation of money is never about reckless action. It is about precise, controlled, intelligent effort sustained over time, guided by the invisible hand of a disciplined mind. Without this, even the greatest ideas, the most brilliant strategies, and the most fervent desires are nothing more than smoke, visible, fleeting, and insubstantial. Fear is the thief of wealth, a predator that preys upon hesitation, indecision, and doubt. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of rejection, All are invisible chains that prevent the ambitious from acting decisively. To move quickly, to generate wealth rapidly, you must learn to identify fear for what it is, a mental construct, a barrier, an illusion that dissipates under the scrutiny of reason, clarity, and purpose. Every moment you allow fear to dictate your actions, every second you defer initiative in the name of safety, is a second lost in the accumulation of fortune. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of fear, the decision to act decisively in spite of it, to use it as a guidepost rather than a prison. The speed of your success is directly proportional to your ability to neutralize fear and act with calculated boldness. Imagination is the architect of wealth. It is the faculty that allows you to see solutions where others see obstacles, to create opportunities where others see impossibility, to design enterprises, investments, and strategies that multiply your results exponentially. Those who rely solely on what exists are doomed to mediocrity. Those who dare to envision what does not yet exist and then take the disciplined steps to bring that vision into reality move faster because they are not bound by the limitations of current circumstances. Their minds are laboratories of innovation, drawing upon every experience, every observation, every idea, and transforming them into instruments of profit and power. The person who cultivates imagination as a disciplined habit sees money not as a finite resource to be scavenged, but as an energy to be generated, directed, and multiplied. Decision is the engine of speed in wealth accumulation. Indecision, hesitation, and procrastination are the slow poisons that erode opportunity. The man who decides quickly, acts promptly, and adjusts intelligently is always ahead of those who deliberate endlessly. Napoleon Hill emphasized that successful people make decisions promptly and change them slowly. This is not rigidity, it is the alignment of mind and purpose with action, rapid, decisive action, informed by a burning purpose, sustained by faith, refined through imagination, and disciplined in execution, is the fastest path to financial success. Every day of delay is a day of lost advantage. Every deferred decision is a window through which fortune escapes. Speed in thought and action is not reckless. It is the disciplined acceleration of every law of success, harnessed and focused toward a single goal. Finally, there are the invisible, mental forces that govern reality, the currents of thought, energy, and expectation that operate beyond conscious awareness. The subconscious mind, when trained through autosuggestion, disciplined through persistence, and aligned with definiteness of purpose, becomes a magnet for opportunity, resources, and wealth. The law of attraction is not a vague principle, it is the predictable consequence of a mind in perfect alignment with its objectives. Every thought, every emotion, every expectation sends ripples into the unseen currents of life. Those ripples, amplified and directed by unwavering mental control, return as events, relationships, and resources that accelerate success. To act without this understanding is to struggle blindly. To act with it is to move with the inevitability of destiny itself. To make money fast, therefore, is not about luck, shortcuts, or external manipulation. It is about an inner conquest, the mastery of mind, the control of emotion, the precision of desire, the steadfastness of faith, the refinement of imagination, the discipline of action, the courage to move despite fear, the decisiveness of thought, and the alignment with the invisible forces that govern reality. The path is not easy. It is not gentle. It is a battle fought in silence within the chambers of your consciousness, where victory or defeat is determined before the first coin is ever earned. And yet, for those who are willing to confront themselves, to strip away excuses, to face fear, to ignite desire, to impose discipline, and to act with relentless, unwavering purpose, money ceases to be a problem. It becomes a consequence, a predictable, natural, unstoppable result of mental mastery. Now that you have confronted the question of why wealth eludes so many, it is time to explore the machinery beneath every act of success, the invisible architecture of the mind that separates those who command money from those who merely dream of it. Making money fast is not the product of speed alone. It is the product of alignment, focus, and the relentless orchestration of mental laws that govern every transaction, every opportunity, and every human interaction. To move quickly, to move decisively, the mind itself must first become a battlefield where doubt, distraction, and weakness are systematically destroyed. There is no alternative. You cannot delegate the cultivation of desire, the enforcement of discipline, or the ignition of faith. These are internal campaigns, fought in silence, often invisible even to those who depend upon you for leadership, yet decisive in the outcome of every venture. Let us begin with the law of burning desire. A faint wish is useless. It is a whisper that is swallowed by the end. Joys of the world. Only a desire that burns, that consumes every other competing impulse, that dominates the landscape of thought and imagination, can act as the engine for rapid wealth. This desire is not fleeting. It is anchored, articulated, and rehearsed daily. It is spoken aloud in moments of solitude, imprinted upon the subconscious through repeated affirmation, and reinforced by the actions you take. Desire without action is meaningless. A man may long for riches, may dream of abundance, but unless that longing is translated into disciplined action, it will vanish like smoke into the indifferent air. The mind must accept no compromise. Every hesitation is a betrayal of the goal. Every distraction is a siphoning of energy. The one who masters desire does so by making it a living, breathing force within, guiding every decision, every opportunity, every relationship, and every dollar toward its fulfillment. Faith, once again, is the catalyst. But faith without comprehension, without strategic direction, is blind. It must be intertwined with knowledge and disciplined action. Those who accumulate money swiftly do so because they believe, not in vague terms, but with a certainty that is actionable. Faith must be so ingrained that the mind recognizes obstacles not as barriers, but as temporary configurations that yield to persistent effort. Here, the invisible forces of the subconscious mind operate most powerfully. Every thought repeated with emotion, every affirmation aimed with conviction becomes a magnet. The world responds, often in subtle ways, often unseen, until circumstances, people, and resources align to make the desired outcome inevitable. Faith does not wait for conditions to become favorable. It creates conditions by compelling action and reinforcing focus. Persistence must be understood not merely as endurance, but as a methodical assault on resistance. The accumulation of wealth is never a linear path. It is a gauntlet of challenges, delays, rejections, and false starts. Yet every setback contains the seeds of advantage for the persistent. Consider the entrepreneur who faces rejection after rejection, the opportunities that others discard, the lessons hidden in apparent defeat, the strategies refined through repeated failure. These are the elements that allow the swift acquisition of fortune. To persist is to convert adversity into momentum, to transform delay into refinement, and to impose your will upon circumstances. Speed in making money comes not from avoidance of difficulty, but from the intelligent, disciplined, and relentless pursuit of opportunity in spite of difficulty. Self-discipline, the silent architect of achievement, governs the velocity of progress. Without it, no amount of desire, faith, or persistence will suffice. Discipline is the daily enforcement of focus, the regulation of expenditure, the structuring of thought, the control of emotional impulses that divert energy from productive channels. The mind, left unchecked, will default to comfort, delay, and distraction only by training it to act according to purpose. Only by subordinating transient pleasures to enduring objectives does one achieve rapid accumulation. The wealthy mind is a disciplined mind, and speed in wealth is a product of the mind operating like a finely tuned instrument, precise, decisive, and unwavering in its attention to the target. Imagination now must be elevated beyond mere fantasy. It is the source of strategy, innovation, and leverage. The person who accumulates money quickly sees beyond what exists, perceiving opportunity where others perceive dead ends. They envision products, services, and markets before they manifest, and act with the discipline to turn vision into reality. Here, mental mastery intersects with opportunity. The faster your mind can construct, analyze, and implement creative solutions, the faster wealth follows. Imagination, disciplined by purpose, becomes a factory of fortune, producing ideas that translate into tangible value faster than mere effort alone could ever achieve. Those who rely on imitation, on repeating the successes of others, are invariably slower. The mind that invents, that anticipates, that shapes the unseen contours of demand moves at a velocity that mere labor cannot match. Decision, as Napoleon Hill emphasized, is the bridge between desire and action. Indecision is not neutral. It is destructive. Every hesitation, every second spent in uncertainty, all allows opportunity to pass. The rapidly wealthy do not seek perfection before acting. They act decisively, assess intelligently, adjust strategically. Their decisions are guided by knowledge, reinforced by imagination, and aligned with the magnetic pull of burning desire and faith. Decisiveness accelerates the cycle of opportunity, enabling faster accumulation of wealth because the momentum of action compounds over time. Delay destroys potential. Action cultivates it. The faster you decide, the faster you advance, and the more rapidly fortune yields to your command. Fear, the most insidious of enemies, lurks in every transaction, every negotiation, every risk undertaken. Fear of loss, fear of ridicule, fear of failure. These are invisible chains that slow the accumulation of wealth. Mastery over fear is not optional, it is essential. Courage is a learned skill, cultivated by action, reinforced by success, and sharpened by reflection. Those who move quickly toward wealth act in spite of fear, not because they are fearless. Every calculated risk, every bold initiative, every action that others shy from is a lever by which fortune accelerates. Fear neutralized becomes momentum. Fear indulged becomes stagnation. Finally, the invisible forces of the subconscious mind, guided by autosuggestion, persistence, and disciplined imagination, operate as a silent engine of wealth. Every repeated affirmation, every conscious focus on desired outcomes, every thought imbued with emotion sends waves into the unseen currents that shape reality. These currents draw toward you the people, circumstances, and resources that align with your purpose. The speed of your financial success is therefore directly proportional to the precision, intensity, and consistency with which you direct these invisible energies. To ignore them is to labor blindly. To understand them is to move with the inevitability of natural law. Understand this clearly. Making money fast is not about recklessness, luck, or shortcuts. It is about internal mastery, the subjugation of fear, the cultivation of desire, the imposition of discipline, the acceleration of decision, the disciplined use of imagination, and the alignment of every mental process with a singular, precise objective. Every law of success interacts, multiplies, and compounds when applied with intelligence and persistence. Every day spent without alignment is a day of lost advantage. Every thought, every action, every decision is a building block toward fortune or a leak in the vessel of potential. You are now standing at the threshold of understanding. The principles have been revealed, but revelation alone is meaningless. Knowledge that is not applied is wasted, inert, and destructive. To make money fast, you must internalize these laws, integrate them into your daily thought processes, and execute them with the intensity of someone who knows that every delay, every hesitation, every unmastered impulse is a theft of the very fortune. Why? Oh, seek. It is a battle fought within your consciousness first, and only then in the world of business, investment, and opportunity. The speed of your success depends entirely on the efficiency, intensity, and precision with which you wage this inner campaign. Delay no longer, fear no longer, doubt no longer. Every second is a choice, and every choice compounds in its consequences. Master these laws in thought, and the external manifestation of wealth will follow with relentless, unstoppable certainty. Now we move deeper into the architecture of the mind itself, the hidden corridors where wealth is born long before it appears in bank accounts, ledgers, or investments. The speed at which money comes to you is determined not by your access to opportunities, but by your ability to perceive them, seize them, and act with precision when others hesitate. This is the invisible domain of mental mastery, where thought shapes circumstance, where desire commands the energies of the universe, and where the disciplined mind converts intention into tangible reality. To understand this, you must see that every financial outcome you have experienced so far, whether abundance or scarcity, is merely the external echo of your inner processes. What you think, what you believe, and what you allow to dominate your mind is not irrelevant. It is determinative. Consider the concept of autosuggestion, the technique by which your conscious desires are planted firmly into the subconscious mind. You may wish for wealth, but unless that desire is repeatedly impressed upon your subconscious with emotion, clarity, and intensity, it will remain a superficial aspiration, vulnerable to distraction, doubt, and external circumstances. Repetition is the crucible in which belief is forged. Words spoken aloud, thoughts focused, images visualized. They are not trivial rituals, they are the instruments through which the subconscious is trained to act in alignment with purpose. Every habit, every action, every spontaneous insight, every opportunity recognized is a consequence of the invisible programming that occurs through autosuggestion. The mind becomes a magnet, and circumstance becomes the inevitable response to the thought patterns you cultivate with relentless discipline. Persistence, already introduced, now assumes a more strategic dimension. It is not simply endurance or blind repetition. It is the intelligent application of effort over time, guided by feedback, tempered by reflection, and sharpened by decisive adjustment. Rapid wealth is seldom the product of a single stroke of genius. It is the compound effect of sustained, intelligently applied effort, multiplied through consistent refinement. Each failure, each rejection, each temporary loss, when analyzed and incorporated into strategy, becomes a vector for acceleration. The mind of the person who understands this sees opportunity in obstacles, advantage in delay, and lessons in every apparent defeat. To act without reflectio, N is impulsive. To hesitate indefinitely is fatal. Persistence aligned with understanding creates speed because it converts obstacles into fuel rather than friction. The discipline of thought and habit now becomes paramount. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Every unregulated impulse, every distraction, every indulgence of laziness or doubt dissipates potential energy that could otherwise be directed toward wealth. Speed in acquisition is not merely a function of action. It is a function of focused, deliberate, sustained, and uninterrupted mental and physical activity in pursuit of a clearly defined goal. The mind, trained through discipline, does not succumb to the seductions of temporary comfort. It does not entertain the fleeting whims of indecision. It is structured, precise, and relentless, turning every action into leverage, every thought into a vector of power. Without this, even the best strategy is fragmented, diluted, and painfully slow in producing results. Fear must now be dissected, understood, and neutralized with surgical precision. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of financial loss, these are the silent agents of stagnation, the invisible anchors that slow movement and distort perception. They are most dangerous because they appear rational, disguised as caution, prudence, or careful calculation. But true speed in acquiring money arises from the ability to act decisively, informed by analysis and guided by strategy in spite of fear. Core, age is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act in the presence of fear, to mobilize mental and emotional resources despite the uncertainty that surrounds every opportunity. Every step taken despite fear compounds confidence, reinforces belief, and accelerates the momentum of wealth. Every hesitation allows opportunity to dissipate, like water seeping through a cracked vessel. The imagination, now fully engaged, is more than creativity. It is the engine of leverage, the mechanism through which ideas are transformed into systems, ventures, and streams of income. Those who move quickly in wealth creation do not labor solely with physical effort. They design, innovate, anticipate, and construct possibilities that others fail to perceive. The disciplined mind employs imagination as a tool for multiplication, converting resources, knowledge, and effort into exponential results. It envisions not only what is, but what can be. It calculates the consequences of actions not just in hours, but in months and years. It perceives patterns invisible to the untrained eye. Rapid financial acquisition is impossible without imagination guided by discipline, because imagination alone is fantasy, and discipline alone is blind labor. The fusion of the two produces speed, efficiency, and power, Decision, once again, assumes a life or death importance in the internal economy of wealth. Every second of hesitation delays the transfer of potential into reality. Every deferred choice compo. Uncertainty and strengthens inertia. The rapidly wealthy are relentless in the application of decision. They act promptly, adjust cautiously, and maintain focus on objectives without allowing the noise of opinion, fear, or distraction to divert their attention. Decisions are not made casually. They are the expression of a mind trained to act in alignment with desire, informed by imagination, and reinforced by faith. The velocity of wealth is determined by the promptness and precision of these decisions. Speed, therefore, is not recklessness. It is the disciplined acceleration of all internal processes toward the desired end. Let us examine the invisible mental forces once more, for they are the hidden currents beneath every action. The subconscious mind, once programmed through autosuggestion and disciplined repetition, begins to operate independently, guiding perception, intuition, and opportunity recognition. It draws people, situations, and resources toward the person who has mastered these laws, as though the universe itself has been instructed to comply. This is not mysticism, it is applied psychology, the predictable outcome of aligning thought, emotion, and action with a singular, powerful objective. Every affirmation repeated with intensity, every visualization imbued with emotion, every disciplined act compounds into this invisible force. The faster one aligns with it, the faster wealth materializes. Speed is a consequence of internal congruence, not external PR. Is sure. Now consider the integration of all these principles. Desire fuels faith. Faith directs persistence. Persistence enforces discipline. Discipline channels imagination. Imagination informs decision. Decision activates invisible forces. Every law is interdependent, and every law, when applied intelligently, multiplies the effect of the others. To make money fast, one cannot select principles arbitrarily. One cannot rely on desire alone, or action alone, or intellect alone. The mind must operate as a cohesive system, every process synchronized, every thought aligned, every impulse governed by purpose. This is the internal machinery that produces rapid external results, the psychological engine that converts knowledge into wealth, thought into opportunity, and desire into reality. Observe the pattern. Rapid wealth is born from internal dominance, not external circumstance. The faster your mind achieves clarity, the more intense your desire, the more disciplined your action, the more decisively you decide, the more courageously you confront fear, the more creatively you apply imagination, the more effectively you harness the invisible forces, the faster money flows to you. Every delay, hesitation, distraction, or unmastered fear is an internal break, a leak in the vessel of potential that slows the velocity of accumulation. Those who move fastest are those who have imposed order upon the chaos of thought, who have converted every mental resource into a weapon of strategy. See acquisition. To accelerate wealth, you must embrace the totality of this system. There is no room for shortcuts, no tolerance for self-deception, no patience for weakness. Every day that passes without mastery is a day in which wealth compounds elsewhere in the minds and actions of those who have understood these principles and applied them relentlessly. You must see yourself not as a passive participant in the economy of the world, but as a commanding force, directing thought, energy, and action toward a single, overwhelming purpose: rapid accumulation of financial resources. This is the only path to speed. Anything less is mere waiting, and waiting is failure dressed in patience. The laws of success, when fully understood and applied, create a current in which action flows effortlessly. Obstacles dissolve, and results appear with a velocity that seems almost unnatural to the untrained observer. Yet this speed is entirely predictable, entirely within the grasp of anyone willing to master the internal processes that govern reality. To make money fast is to master yourself first, to conquer fear, to ignite desire, to enforce discipline, to cultivate imagination, to decide swiftly, and to harness the invisible currents that amplify every action. The outer world is merely a reflection of the inner conquest. Until the mind is disciplined, aligned, and activated, No amount of external strategy, skill, or luck will accelerate the manifestation of wealth. By now, you should understand that the acquisition of wealth is never an external phenomenon first. It is a conquest of the mind. Every coin earned, every investment secured, every opportunity seized is the reflection of an internal structure of thought, emotion, and disciplined action. But knowledge alone is insufficient. To make money fast, you must translate the principles we have explored into a living operational system within yourself. It is not enough to understand desire, faith, persistence, discipline, imagination, decision, or the invisible, mental forces in abstract terms. You must implement them, integrate them, and internalize them until they operate unconsciously, like the automatic mechanisms of a well-built machine, guiding every perception, every choice, every action toward your financial objective. This is where speed manifests, not through luck, but through perfected internal mechanics. Begin by scrutinizing your thoughts. Most people assume that thought is passive, that it flows freely and without consequence. This is a dangerous illusion. Every thought is a signal, a direction, a force that either propels you toward wealth or drags you into stagnation. The mind trained for rapid financial acquisition is not idle. It constantly scans, evaluates, imagines, and decides. It transforms fleeting inspiration into structured plans. It identifies patterns in the market, anticipates trends, and perceives opportunity in the overlooked details. It rejects negatives, self-limiting, or unfuck. Used thoughts immediately, recognizing them as threats to velocity. A mind disciplined in this way acts before the ordinary person even perceives the problem. Its speed is the result of preparation, focus, and a relentless refusal to entertain distractions. Next, examine the way you handle desire. Desire is not a vague yearning. It is an organized, quantifiable emotional force. To move quickly, to act decisively, your desire must be translated into specific objectives, precise amounts, measurable results, and clearly defined timelines. You cannot say, "I want to be rich," and expect rapid results. You must define how much, by when, and through what channels. The specificity of desire converts it from an abstract wish into a target that your mind and actions can aim toward. When desire is vague, effort is diffused and speed is impossible. When desire is precise, every thought, every decision, and every action is aligned, creating a momentum that accelerates progress in ways that casual observers mistake for luck. Faith now must be fortified through repetition and emotional investment. Belief is not an intellectual exercise. It is a physiological and psychological state that dictates how you perceive opportunities, risks, and solutions. Your mind cannot act decisively unless it is convinced of success. Doubt is lethargy in motion. Faith, reinforced through affirmations, visualization, and emotional investment, transforms hesitation into action, indecision into clarity, and potential into reality. The rapidly wealthy do not wait for confidence to appear. They generate it through deliberate, repeated mental conditioning until belief becomes instinct. This faith enables them to move faster, act sooner, and leverage resources more efficiently than those who rely on fleeting confidence or external validation. Persistence, in practical terms, requires systematized action. Rapid wealth is rarely achieved through sporadic bursts of effort. It is achieved through consistent, disciplined, intelligent, and targeted action day after day, week after week, month after month. Every temporary failure is data. Every delay is feedback. The persistent mind treats obstacles as signals, adjusts strategy with precision, and continues to act without hesitation. This is why speed is not the result of chance. It is the result of a compounding effect, where small, consistent actions, guided by intelligence and disciplined by will, accumulate into extraordinary results faster than erratic, undirected effort could ever hope to achieve. Discipline must extend to both mental and physical action. A mind aligned with purpose but untrained in habitual execution is like a powerful engine without fuel. You must create systems in which your thoughts automatically generate productive action. This means cultivating habits that enforce focus, eliminating distractions that fragment attention, and structuring your time so that the highest value activities are pursued with intensity. Every minute wasted on indecision, idle thought, or indulgence slows your momentum. The disciplined mind converts every moment into leverage, multiplying the speed at which wealth is generated. Habit, structure, and consistency are not limitations. They are the accelerators of rapid acquisition. Imagination, applied methodically, is a tool of exponential acceleration. Do not confuse creativity with random speculation. The imagination of the rapidly wealthy is structured, disciplined, and goal-directed. It identifies unmet needs, perceives inefficiencies, and constructs soluti that others overlook. It models outcomes, anticipates consequences, and designs leverage points that multiply the impact of action. Speed is gained not by working harder, but by thinking smarter, by designing mechanisms, strategies, and systems that convert limited resources into maximum results. Imagination is the blueprint, but discipline and action are the construction crew that completes the work. Without this combination, ideas remain unimplemented fantasies, and potential wealth evaporates in wasted thought. Decision, again, must become instantaneous yet deliberate. Rapid wealth is the product of swift, informed choices. Indecision is lethargy made visible. Speed emerges when the mind has internalized the principles of desire, faith, imagination, and discipline to such an extent that decisions arise naturally, without hesitation, and are executed immediately. Waiting for perfect conditions is fatal. Analyzing endlessly is fatal. The person who moves fastest is the person whose mind is prepared, whose emotions are aligned, and whose purpose is burning so brightly that decision becomes an instinctual extension of thought. Finally, recognize the role of invisible mental forces as the accelerant of speed. These forces are not mystical. They are the predictable result of aligning your subconscious with your conscious objectives, of embedding desire into every fiber of thought, of reinforcing belief through emotion, and of coupling thought with disciplined action. Opper 2. Needies, connections, and resources are drawn toward you not by chance, but by the patterns you establish internally. The mind that controls these forces acts faster because it recognizes the signals that others miss, leverages relationships that others overlook, and converts potential into reality before the untrained mind has even identified the situation. Speed is the byproduct of mastery over these invisible currents, and mastery requires unwavering focus, repetition, and intentional action. Now, bring this together into a living system. Your mind must operate as a cohesive mechanism, desire as fuel, faith as ignition, persistence as motion, discipline as structure, imagination as guidance, decision as leverage, and invisible forces as acceleration. Each law reinforces the others. Each action compounds in effect. This internal machinery is the source of speed. The person who has mastered it moves faster, acts sooner, and accumulates wealth more efficiently than those who rely on chance, superficial effort, or external validation. Rapid wealth is not about shortcuts. It is about internal coherence, strategic application, and relentless momentum. To act effectively, you must embrace total responsibility for this system. Every distraction, every indulgence, every hesitation is an internal failure. Every thought, every decision, every action is a choice that either compounds or dissipates your potential. Speed is not achieved by external circumstances. It is the result of an internal machine operating at maximum efficiency. To make money fast, you must become the master of this machine. You must monitor, refine, and perfect every component until action, thought, and result move in perfect synchronization. Every delay reduces speed, every failure to act reduces momentum, every unmastered fear reduces potential. Those who understand this and act without compromise become unstoppable forces of accumulation capable of generating wealth at a pace that astonishes those who are still enslaved by indecision, distraction, and unaligned thought. You are now at the precipice of understanding, yet the final elements that distinguish rapid wealth from delayed or stalled accumulation remain to be mastered. These are the advanced mechanisms of the mind, the subtle, invisible forces that operate beneath conscious awareness and yet dictate the velocity of every financial outcome. To move faster than ordinary men and women, to command money with authority, you must not only understand desire, faith, persistence, discipline, imagination, and decision, you must integrate them so completely that they operate unconsciously, driving action, perceiving opportunity, and neutralizing fear without hesitation. This is the level at which speed in wealth creation becomes inevitable, almost automatic, because your mind is no longer reactive. It is anticipatory, relentless, and in perfect harmony with its objectives. Begin with the precise calibration of desire. Most people confuse intensity with passion, believing that wanting something is enough. It is not. Rapid accumulation requires that desire be quantified, measured, and emotionally invested. You must know exactly what you want, down to the smallest detail, and you must feed that desire with persistent thought, visualization, and affirmation until it becomes an unbreakable internal law. The mind cannot act decisively on vague intent. When desire is exact and emotionally charged, the subconscious mind becomes a calculating agent, orchestrating circumstances, attracting resources, and producing opportunities before you even consciously recognize them. Every hesitation, every ambiguity in desire slows the current. Clarity of desire is speed itself. Faith, the internal compass, must now be integrated with strategy and observation. It is not blind belief. It is the confident assumption that the invisible currents of the mind, once programmed through repetition and emotional investment, will produce results. Faith must transform into expectation, the certainty that every action you take will generate measurable advantage. This expectation guides the subconscious to recognize patterns, identify opportunities, and avoid errors before they manifest externally. The person who operates with this level of faith acts with the inevitability of natural law. Obstacles are no longer frightening. They are signals, information, and triggers for intelligent adjustment. Speed arises because the mind moves first. While the untrained mind is paralyzed by fear, doubt, or indecision, persistence evolves from endurance into intelligent momentum. You do not merely continue in the face of difficulty. You refine, analyze, and optimize every action. Rapid wealth does not result from repeated motion alone. It emerges from repeated motion, guided by insight. Each iteration, each adjustment, each course correction compounds into acceleration. The persistent mind transforms temporary setbacks into catalysts, failure into intelligence, and delay into leverage. Those who accumulate wealth fast do so not because obstacles vanish, but because they act in ways that convert obstacles into advantage faster than any competitor could imagine. Speed is a consequence of persistence sharpened by perception. Discipline now becomes internal architecture. It is no longer about enforcing external rules or avoiding distractions. It is about automating intelligent action. Every habit, every thought, every routine must reinforce the objective. The mind becomes a self-regulating mechanism, acting swiftly and decisively without the interference of hesitation, doubt, or indulgence. Every distraction ignored, every impulse controlled, every action aligned with purpose increases the velocity at which results are produced. The rapidly wealthy are not simply more disciplined. They are machines of focused energy, executing flawlessly and consistently at the mental, emotional, and behavioral levels. Imagination, elevated to its highest function, serves as the laboratory for leverage. Rapid financial accumulation depends not on effort alone, but on the ability to multiply effort through creative systems, innovative strategies, and strategic positioning. The disciplined imagination does not wander into fantasy. It models scenarios, anticipates outcomes, and designs structures that produce wealth faster than labor could ever achieve. Those who act without imagination are confined to linear progress. Those who act with disciplined imagination accelerate exponentially. The mind that creates systems, sees unseen possibilities, and calculates leverage operates at a velocity that transforms ordinary action into extraordinary result. Decision, now perfected, becomes instinctual. Rapid wealth requires instantaneous yet informed choices. The mind, trained through desire, faith, persistence, discipline, and imagination, recognizes opportunities, evaluates consequences, and executes without hesitation. Indecision is lethal. Hesitation is invisible resistance. Speed is determined by the alignment of all internal faculties, so that decision is no longer a moment of uncertainty. It is the natural extension of a prepared, focused, and disciplined mind. Rapid action without hesitation compounds advantage. Delay multiplies risk. Every second counts. Fear, the most insidious inhibitor of velocity, must be neutralized through confrontation and understanding. Rapid accumulation demands action in spite of fear, using it as a signal rather than a barrier. Fear indicates areas requiring preparation, but it must not dictate action. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is mastery over it. The faster you confront fear and act despite it, the faster opportunity converts into tangible wealth. Every hesitation amplifies fear, slows momentum, and reduces potential. Mastery over fear is mastery over speed itself. Finally, the invisible mental forces, the currents of subconscious influence, are the ultimate accelerant. A mind disciplined through desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, and fear mastery activates these currents. Opportunities, resources, and relationships appear almost magnetically, as if reality itself bends to the coherent alignment of thought and purpose. These are not magical phenomena. They are the predictable results of intelligent mental programming and disciplined action. The speed of wealth is directly proportional to the extent of internal alignment and mastery. Those who understand and leverage these forces move faster than those who rely on effort, luck, or external conditions alone. Integration of these principles produces exponential velocity. Desire fuels faith. Faith directs persistence. Persistence enforces discipline. Discipline structures imagination. Imagination guides decision. Decision activates invisible forces. Fear is neutralized. Every component interacts with the others, producing acceleration. The individual who has internalized this system moves through opportunity with precision, anticipates obstacles before they manifest, converts risk into leverage, and multiplies every action into results. Rapid financial accumulation is not chance. It is the product of perfect internal alignment, executed with relentless consistency and intelligence. You are now poised to act with the understanding that speed in wealth creation is a consequence of mastery, not circumstance. Every delay, hesitation, or unmastered impulse reduces velocity. Every focused, disciplined, intelligent action compounds advantage. The difference between ordinary accumulation and rapid wealth is not knowledge. It is internal application, integration, and execution. To move faster, to command money quickly, you must become the operator of a machine that functions at peak efficiency in thought, emotion, and action. Speed emerges naturally, inevitably, as a consequence of mastery. Ask yourself this now. Are you truly prepared to claim responsibility for the life you live, for the fortune you are capable of commanding, for the mastery that no one else can bestow upon you? The truth is stark, brutal, and undeniable. Success is not granted, it is taken. Wealth, in its fastest, most potent form, does not descend upon the unprepared, the hesitant, or the half-hearted. It is seized by the mind that has been disciplined, sharpened, and perfected in alignment with purpose, desire, and unwavering internal law. Every principle you have absorbed so far is meaningless unless it ignites action, unless it compels you to impose your will upon reality with precision, intensity, and relentless persistence. Now is the moment to commit fully, without compromise, without apology, without delay. The laws of rapid wealth are no longer abstract concepts. They are living instruments within your mind, each one a key to unlocking velocity in every pursuit, every venture, every transaction. Desire must now become obsession, a laser-like force that dominates every thought, directs every action, and aligns every relationship and resource to its fulfillment. This is not casual ambition. It is a consuming flame, a furnace that incinerates fear, doubt, and distraction. Faith must be absolute, a certainty so complete that hesitation has no foothold, that risk becomes an invitation, and that obstacles transform into stepping stones. Every action you take must be undergirded by this belief, every decision guided by the knowledge that the invisible forces of the mind are already orchestrating success on your behalf. Persistence, the quiet yet unstoppable engine, now drives every step with it. H, unrelenting force. The person who achieves wealth rapidly does not stumble, does not pause in uncertainty, does not allow temporary defeat to define the trajectory of action. Every failure is mined for insight, every delay converted into refinement, every misstep turned into leverage. Speed in accumulation is not linear, it is compounded, amplified by intelligent persistence, by the repeated, disciplined application of mental law to every challenge, every opportunity, and every emerging situation. The mind that persists with intelligence moves faster than circumstance itself, creating results before the untrained observer even recognizes a possibility exists. Discipline must now dominate all aspects of life. Thought, emotion, habit, and action are no longer left to chance or inclination. Every impulse, every moment, every decision is scrutinized, refined, and aligned with purpose. Speed in wealth is the direct product of this precision. A mind operating with discipline is an instrument of unstoppable momentum, converting thought into opportunity, desire into action, and action into measurable, rapid financial results. Without discipline, even the greatest strategies collapse. Without alignment, even the most fervent desire dissipates. Discipline is the bridge between mental mastery and tangible achievement. And to move fast, you must walk this bridge unflinchingly, moment by moment. Imagination, now fully harnessed, becomes your laboratory of leverage. Rapid accumulation does not arise solely from effort or talent. It arises from the intelligent multiplication of effort through systems, structures, and foresight. To move swiftly, you must anticipate outcomes, engineer solutions before problems arise, and create mechanisms that transform small actions into monumental results. The disciplined mind directs imagination like a precision instrument, generating opportunities and converting resources into exponential advantage. This is the difference between motion and progress. One drifts, the other accelerates. Decision must be instantaneous, informed, and unflinching. Indecision is lethargy, hesitation is stagnation. Rapid financial success is achieved by those who act immediately, adjusting intelligently as necessary, guided by desire, faith, and imagination. Every second delayed is a lost advantage. Every choice postponed is a step away from the inevitable accumulation of wealth. Your mind, trained through mastery of these laws, should now operate so decisively that opportunities are converted into results, faster than fear, doubt, or external conditions can intervene. The speed of your fortune is determined by the velocity of your decision-making, by the absolute alignment of purpose and action. Fear, once conquered, now serves as a signal, not a barrier. Courage is no longer theoretical, it is operational. Every opportunity approached despite fear becomes a lever, every risk embraced intelligently accelerates results, and every hesitation avoid. Ed compounds advantage. To make money fast, you must act in the presence of fear, knowing that your mastery over thought, emotion, and strategy ensures that risk is minimized and reward maximized. Fear is no longer the thief of time, it is the marker of areas where action produces maximum leverage. Finally, the invisible mental forces, the currents of subconscious alignment, the orchestration of desire, faith, persistence, discipline, imagination, and decision, now operate as an accelerant beyond conscious perception. You are no longer merely responding to circumstance, you are generating it. You attract people, resources, situations, and opportunities with a precision that seems almost supernatural, yet is entirely the consequence of internal mastery. The faster you align your mind with these forces, the faster wealth manifests. Every second, every thought, every disciplined action compounds momentum. Speed is the inevitable product of perfect alignment and relentless application. Now embrace total responsibility. Recognize that no one will do this for you. No teacher, mentor, book, or circumstance can substitute for the relentless exercise of your own mind. To move fast, to accumulate rapidly, you must commit to internal mastery with no compromise. You must act decisively, think relentlessly, and align every element of your life with a single overwhelming objective, the rapid, unstoppable accumulation of wealth. The universe does not reward hesitation, and it does not give delay. Speed, clarity, and power are yours only if you take them fully without reservation. So act now. Ignite desire until it consumes all distraction. Fortify faith until hesitation is impossible. Persist with intelligence until obstacles bow before momentum. Discipline every habit, thought, and action until the machine of your mind operates flawlessly. Apply imagination to construct leverage, multiply effort, and anticipate every outcome. Decide swiftly, execute ruthlessly, and allow invisible forces to accelerate every action. Confront fear, act despite it, and convert it into fuel for velocity. You are now the master of your inner world, and the outer world is compelled to reflect your internal dominance. Commit fully, act decisively, and take total responsibility for your life and purpose. Do not delay. Do not hesitate. The speed of your financial success depends on the intensity, precision, and relentlessness of your application. Make no excuses, accept no substitutes, and demand nothing less than total mastery of thought, emotion, and action. The time to act is now. Every moment wasted is a moment surrendered. Command your mind, command your will, and command your wealth with absolute authority. There is no one to blame, no one to rescue you, and no external force that can substitute for your mastery. The universe responds to decisiveness, intensity, and purpose. Take it. Take it fully. Take it now.